Kahle, also known as Siva, and today I'll be chit-chatting about being plus size, body positivity, and the reasons why I quit being a plus size model before I even started. So if you guys are interested in that kind of conversation, please continue. I'm going to have the fan on and off in between because it's actually really, really hot. And yeah, the breeze isn't actually coming into my room. So please don't mind the sound that you hear in the background. I'm going to try and keep it as low as possible, but it is making my face sweat as well. So just be aware of that. And I have a ring light on. So just be aware of any buzzing sound in the background. It's just based on that. So I'm just going to switch it on now. I'm sure you guys will notice. So whenever you hear the specific sound, just know that the fan is on, obviously with my hair. I just got out of a bad relationship. Terrible ending. I was single. I hated myself. I hated how I looked. I hated everything about myself. I just hated everything. I hated that I hated that I'm fat. I hated that. Come on, I think I just lost a friend. Not death friend, like sort of like beef friend. Beef sort of thing. So I was going through a lot, and I was going through a phase where I'm now comparing myself to other people and funda about. So eventually I started doing food. I have a friend who does photography. Well, he's a videographer, but he was tapping into photography as well. So I was like, I want a photo shoot, and I said it in such a joking way, like joke, because I'd never done any photo shoots before. So I was like, I'm like photo shoot photo. And then he was like, okay, no, come through, yabo. And the whole time, and me and him went to the same high school. Like, yeah, we live in the same neighborhood, same high school. So I've known him for a while. We caught the same bus. So I've known this guy for a while. So he was like, dude, like, I've been wanting to take photos of you because you are pretty and you have a beautiful body, but I didn't know, but if you'd be interested in that, you know? And I'm also needing to practice. So if you avail yourself to practice and allow me to practice my photography skills, then that's great. And I was like, Jonga, I'm here. And the thing is, I was hyping myself up the whole time, jokingly saying these things, but I wasn't actually being serious. And so the first time we did a photo shoot, we took photos, it was at the beach. And I had this idea of, I think this was the first time, but I had this idea of going there wearing just a bodysuit, this bodysuit that I bought at Mr. Price that had like little flowers on it. But I was like so into this bodysuit, and it felt to me that it looked terrible with a bra on, but it was a sheer bodysuit, so I kind of had to wear a bra. And so I did the photo shoot with no bra, no underwear, nothing. And I was obsessed with the photos. Almost to a point where I forgot all the issues that I had about me gaining weight, me being a certain size, me having big boobs, me having a big bum, me having big thighs, me having big legs, because I've got chubby legs as well. So I forgot about myself having those issues. So as much as for Ian, I was helping him gain his skills or whatnot, but it was a confidence booster for me, and I didn't even know I needed it until I did it. I'm not saying everyone should go out there, if you're having issues, go out there having photo shoot, but that's what helped me sort of learn to accept myself more. And so I started putting the photos out there because I really liked how they looked. And I was not doing it, and because I was starting to love myself more and more, because I mean, if you're gonna do a photo shoot with a guy that you've only known in high school when you guys were wearing blazers, and now you're gonna be almost butt naked in front of him, you have to be very confident in yourself and what you're doing. And so I think we just fed off each other's energy. Trying to swap my leg around. I think we fed off each other's energy, and we fed off each other's, like, the comfort of me knowing him and he knowing me, and us being comfortable around each other, that there was no weird energy, there was no another weird shit that guys do sometimes when they just ruin moments. So it was so easy for me to just be myself. But okay, let me try to take a photo like this, let's try this lighting here, let's try and pose like this, let's watch my on. It was such a nice thing to do, and such a confidence booster, where my confidence went from some shaky ground to like here. But it doesn't matter what anyone says, but oh my god, you're so big. I was like, I'm big and cute though. Like, I didn't care at all. And so the moment that I uploaded those pictures, I uploaded them not wanting compliments or anything, like I just uploaded them because I just liked how they looked, and I wanted everyone to see about how good I look at these pictures. But the DMs I got from other girls, Never mind the guys being all lustful and stuff, but the DMs I got from girls saying to me, "Bah, I've always wanted to do this, but I'm scared. Who took photos of you? Can I go to him? How comfortable were you? How did it go? Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for showing me that I can also be pretty. Thank you for it warmed my heart so much that I was like, okay, let me actually try and go into modeling. It wasn't something that I intended on doing, but it was just like initially, but I was just like, okay, you know what? If I can take this and make someone else feel good about themselves, then how about I take it into an exponential rate? Come on. So there's this lady that I knew from when, how did I meet this girl? At work, yeah, I met her at work, but Kadi, she does modeling. So I asked her, but do they take plus size girls? And she's like, yeah, they do. So now I'm like, come on a shop also. So I asked, okay, eating into, they're like, okay, the next meeting is on this and this day, so come through. So I come through and let's just say it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I expected, because when someone says to me, yes, they take plus size women, I thought there would be another plus size woman there. I didn't expect for me to be the only one there. And I didn't expect, but for one, I got there and I was the only plus size girl there. So they were like, oh, okay, so you'll be the only plus size girl. So I was like, okay, I'm the only plus size girl here. It's a bit of it's daunting, because now I have to be the one that sits, that puts down, that lays the foundation for maybe the other next women who are plus size to want to join in. That's the pressure that I put on myself, okay? Not because that's what they said, but that's just how I felt for myself. And so, yeah, I went in, but I started noticing, but okay, it was an agency that we joined, based in East London, but a lot of the girls there are not plus size, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not expecting everyone to be plus size, but it would have been nice to join something where there's a lot of other girls that are similar to me. And then so that's happened, and then the agency offered classes, modeling classes as well. So what would happen is every Saturday we'd meet up, where you're always submitting your things, but everything's based on a WhatsApp group. So that's a group to, okay, cool, there's a modeling gig happening, PPPPP. So if you want to come through, or whatnot. So first issue that I had was that some of the gigs that were happening were based in like Cape Town and your Joburgs and whatnot. If I'm in London, I'm a student, I can't fly out to Joburg and Cape Town whenever I want to. I don't have family there, so I can't just go there whenever I feel like it, or whenever there's a gig. And a lot of these gigs were only being told about them like a week before, or even 3 days before. Come on, some of them. So I was like, how do you expect me to cater for myself, to feed myself, to uzlalisa ngapha eKapa when I'm still a student? Sure, my family is here backing me up and helping me, but they're also paying for my fees. So I think I need time in advance to get told of these things. And now when none of us could make it, we get scolded, well, oh, you guys aren't taking this seriously. You guys don't care about this and this and that. But it's like, okay, but oh, come on. And the one other thing that I didn't like was that some of the things were based more on, the focus was on being better than the agencies that are here. So the agency, there's another agency as well, but the one I joined, they were trying to be better than the other ones that are here, where everything is based on local activity, like the bridal shows that are here and the runway shows that are here, the fashion weeks that are here. So they wanted to cater more to national things that are out of the province. But at the same time, if I have nothing in my portfolio, it's kind of going to be hard for someone to try and take me when I've got nothing that I've done at all. I haven't even done like local. Come on. So I'll be like, who are you when you can't even beg into a local to go over there? Come on. So as much as we were allowed to audition for Indo's Alapa, but the main focus I felt was more on out of province things, and those out of province things were not budgeted for, and the agency had to pay for them yourself. Come on, there was no, okay, we'll pay for flight and then you could just land yourself there. And that what I didn't like was that the moment we get confronted about it and someone says, but I didn't have money for it, like, oh, but why don't you say we could have worked something out? But it's like, do I have to like have a conversation to negotiate something out instead of you saying, but okay, anyone who wants to audition for this in Cape Town, we're willing to pay for flights. Yeah. Kubon, but none of them was being offered. Only if you into the Kubon, it doesn't jolly that just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So the contract was never signed on the dotted line. I was given a contract to read, and if I accept the terms, accept the terms. There was never a printed contract for me to sign. It was like, oh no, we're busy with this and that. We're busy with this and that. We're still busy printing out more contracts. They never came. But every single month I had to pay a certain fee for the classes. Now, everyone who knows modeling agencies, you're not allowed to pay any fee. But because we were told, but this is in an agency and there's classes, I'm paying for the classes. But now what happens is, if every single week, there's no schedule printed out, but okay, week 1 we're doing this, week 2 we're doing this, week 3 we're doing this. We're just being there. And then if there's no... If I get here on week, even if we, let's say, example, this week we're doing, we're practicing catwalk this week, and I'm the only one there. I don't think it's fair for class to be cancelled because I'm the only one here. Come on. I also don't think it's fair for we meet up and then we get to you, all 10 of us or all 15 of us or all 5 of us, but there's nothing actually happening. All we're doing is just talking or reflecting or planning. Yeah, well, there's no actual classes being done. So now it's like, okay, cool, I get that I'm paying and we're being auditioned out, but what else? What's the plan? Like, what's the actual plan? What are you trying to do with us? Are you actually promoting us? Are you actually advertising us? Come on. I felt like I wasn't seeing any of that. So it was easy for me to start stepping back a bit more and more and more, especially because of the only plus size girl there. Now, the one thing that made me very iffy about being a plus size model, Payana. Not that I'm saying, but I'm iffing out other plus size models anywhere else or their work or whatever. But the one thing I didn't like was whenever we practiced anything, there was never anything catered to a specific type of modeling. Like, if you're a plus size woman and there's a skinny girl next to you and you've never done any catwalk before and we're now practicing catwalk, there was never something where it's catered to the different types, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense now. And now I'm literally speaking this on top of my head. So, example, I'm plus size. So me wearing stilettos is kind of difficult because there's a lot of weight to carry on that pencil heel. Whereas a tiny person next to me is not gonna mind because it's smaller weight to carry. Yeah, well, I don't know if that makes sense now. So it's easier sometimes for a plus size woman to wear a sort of a block heel or a heel with sort of a bit more, girth to it compared to another girl. Now, if you're gonna have catwalk classes and it's emphasized by you can't wear a block heel, how do you wear a block heel? You have to wear stiletto. And I'm struggling to walk in a stiletto, my legs are shaking, and I've never done catwalk before. Why am I being shouted at? And Alapo, you're teaching the class and you're wearing block heels. That's what I found weird. But the person owning the agency is also the same one teaching us how to walk, and she's wearing block heels. And it's like, yeah, but like, you're scolding me, but you're not even being an example. Yeah, well, so, but anyway, this is not a bashing video or anything like that, but it's just things that I observed that I just felt some type of way about. So I chose to focus on other aspects of my life instead of focusing on things like that, where it just felt like now it's just being weird. But another thing that was the key thing that made me feel weird was that whenever we practiced posing for pictures, whenever we practiced any sort of outfits or anything like that, the focus was always made on trying to make me look smaller than what I am. Now, I have gained way more weight than what I am back then. I wish I was the weight that I was back then, because I feel like I looked amazing back then when I joined in. Proportioned out. When I was more hourglass than what I am now. And so to me, it felt kind of weird where I have to suck in to a point where it almost feels like I can't breathe. And it feels like I'm wearing a corset. I have to try and emphasize myself to make myself look as skinny as possible. And now I understand someone saying I want to make my waist look small, but if every single body part of mine has to look small, my neck, my arms, my thigh, my leg, everything has to look tiny. And then the moment I try and get that frame, I get that frame immediately. The emphasis is on that, but okay, this is how you should pose in every single picture you take ever. Oh, come on. So now it's like, okay, but being plus, I thought being plus size was just being like plus size, but you just, your body is the way it is, and you just pose for clothes to cater for plus size women. I didn't know, but I have to now try and make sure that I'm a size 38, but I have to pose and look like I'm a size 34. That's what I didn't understand. And I think there wasn't a focus on trying to see where the industry is going, because now there's a more of an embrace towards being plus size. There's more of an embrace of being different and kind of being darker skinned, lighter skinned. The embrace is more on being different and diversity than trying to cater to look as small or as fair skinned as possible, which is what the typical beauty standard tends to be when it comes to agencies and advertising for fashion and beauty and stuff. Yeah, well, and I'm only saying this at the top of my head. I'm saying this based on on things that I've noticed. There's no study that I did. I'm not in fashion. I didn't study fashion or marketing, anything like that. I'm a construction person, guys. Okay, I think the weather's cooled down a bit, so yeah, I might not be as sweaty as I looked before. But as I was saying, so I felt like things were becoming more diversified, if that's the right word to use. So it was just weird to me how the focus was based on trying to make sure I look as skinny as possible. And I remember there was a time where I actually wasn't going to classes as often because I didn't feel like they were doing much for me, and I focused more on trying to finish off at school. And then there was a modeling gig where she needed people for, I think, one of her clothing lines or something, and because the person that owns the agency also has a clothing line, and I think that's one of the reasons why the focus wasn't as but anyway, so she needed people and she asked me because I was the only plus size girl there. But the clothing itself for the specific classes, we felt the one that I wore, one of the dresses felt like a bit frumpy. So I was a bit put off, man, because I feel like I'm young and I feel like I'm trying to show a more embracing side and to show that everyone can be sexy, every woman can be sexy, every woman can be beautiful, and you don't have to emulate one sort of body size in order to be deemed as attractive. You don't have to pose as if you're squinting your whole body in order to show yourself as to be more attractive, and posing as if you try to make yourself look smaller, and we've seen those pictures before. You can see, but it's like that, especially where you can see, but okay, you can see this model's clearly trying to hide this part by emphasizing this part. Whereas if you're standing there walking by there and you decide to turn this way, I know you have a fupa like me, but you don't have to. But anyway. So I felt things like that. So she wanted me to model for her clothes. So I hadn't been there in a while. So I went, and the first thing she said was, "Oh my gosh, you've gained so much weight. We need to measure you again because you've gained so much weight." And when I look back now, I actually hadn't gained a lot of weight. I hadn't been there in almost a month, but I didn't gain that much. Like it just needed me to go back to class. I wasn't as toned. Maybe I'm gonna show. So it was just really surprising where she was making all those comments about, "You've gained so much weight, you're so big, and I'm going to have to get a dietitian in." She was saying things like that, but she's going to get a dietitian in because the one girl was underweight according to her. And so she was like, "Okay, I'm going to get a dietitian in for you guys. So she's going to help you get skinny and you get chubby." But she would say these things, but none of them actually happened. Like the one time she was advertising the most consistent model, like what she always had these things, not competition as such, but she always had these things where she was always ranking the most consistent, the most this, the most that. And for 1 week it was me and I won a facial and I never got that facial. So go on, certain things, when you're there, you're supposed to get a vest or a t-shirt or something, so that whenever you go for castings you wear that specific t-shirt to advertise your agency. I never got that t-shirt. I paid every single month for the classes and what. I didn't get one. It was like, no, so and so, he's still printing, he's still this, he's still that. Go on. When it came to that, well, I was like, no ways. Like, I don't have a job, I don't have a steady allowance, but the little money that I do have, I try and put into this to invest into myself. And it feels like I'm not actually making any investment in this. So I was like, nah, I pulled back a bit more. And so I didn't even do the photo shoots as well because in my mind, I knew I wasn't going to the gym as often. So I'm not going to gym as often because I was focused on more at school. And so I gained weight very quickly, like rapidly, like gained weight, like, come on, gained a lot of weight. And then but it wasn't my main focus. Like I gained a lot of weight, but it wasn't my main focus. And then I went to, Diet and then consumer might be tech, and you had to announce whatever decision you're making so that they can cater for you on this side. But come on. So I explained, but okay, I'm moving to PE and I'll be there for a year, but I'll be back after a year. So whatever modeling gigs are available in PE, I'll be available for them because I'll be there. I'll have a car. At the time I didn't have my car, I was using my sister, but eventually I got my car. So I had access to transport that was more precise to me. And so I said that, but okay, listen, I might not be as available, but I will be available. Yeah, but if I can be, but at least I'm on this side of town. Yeah, but. And then it was like, okay, cool, thank you for telling us. And another girl as well was done with school. Like a lot of people were changing things around them. So a lot of people were announcing things. People were being congratulated and whatnot. So fine. So because I gained a lot of weight, I wasn't as into doing photo shoots with my friend anymore because one, I was busy with school and I gained weight, and number two, because I got into modeling, I felt like I had to try and focus on that. So any sort of photo shoot I had to do, I wanted to do it that's going to be something that's being paid for, yeah, or something that is aligned within a much bigger platform. And unfortunately that wasn't the case. That didn't happen for me, and that's okay. Like I had high hopes, and it didn't happen. So I eventually I want to articulate this as well as possible. So I got to PE and yeah, there was just like silence. I didn't get told of any modeling gigs, nothing whatsoever. And I think because I was so clued on school, I wasn't as social. All my social activities were based on around my vicinity. I didn't actually go anywhere that was on the outskirts. So I didn't actually know what was actually going on in PE. I didn't know of any actual PE-based events. The only thing I knew was Cubana. And that's an eating out sometimes, but that's it. Everything I knew was based on just my immediate surroundings. So I didn't know of any actual modeling gigs or fashion weeks of Nina and when they're opening castings and whatnot. And then the next thing I notice, I'm kicked out the WhatsApp group. Like I'm literally removed from the WhatsApp group. And I was like, okay. And I took that as a sign, but I need to get the fuck out of here because if I'm going to be paying for every single month for this modeling agency and things aren't happening when I'm in the actual city, I see you almost every week and I'm available on the phone. And the last time we spoke to each other was me saying, but I'm moving to another city, but I'm available for whatever you need, but just let me know, and availing myself, and still nothing happens. And instead, I get kicked out of the WhatsApp group. So I was like, I didn't sign an formal contract. I didn't actually receive an official t-shirt. So whatever informal setting you're trying to have with a modeling agency, so I'd rather be on the high road. I'm not even asking you about what the hell's going on because like the whole setup was going kakade. So you sort of helped me as well. I'm sad that I wasted my coin, but the lessons I learned, but some of I feel like there was much more being advertised for the things that I learned and things that I paid for, you know. So fine. So now, years later, when I see these adverts of, and I see topics like body positivity coming up, I'm always very unsure of what to say or what not to say. But should I actually say something because I'm plus size? Should I say something because I tried to do modeling and it didn't work? I don't know how other agencies work. I don't know how other modeling platforms work. I don't know how other people do things. And ever since that, I never actually tried to go back into it because, and especially, I didn't like how things were put out. It put me off, especially from the vision that I had. I want to show women that are my size that you can be pretty and be sexy without having to emulate being a skinny person. You can be sexy just as you are. Come on. Like you can just dress in lingerie and just be hot if you want to be hot. You can wear certain clothes and be hot if you want to be hot. Like you can be the most prettiest woman in the world without having people saying, "Oh my gosh, you're so confident." Like no, I wanted like my sort of thing to just be about me being me. That's it. I feel like I'm sexy. I feel like I'm pretty. I feel like I'm the hottest thing ever. I cater to that, but it's not a matter of, oh, I dress a certain way to cater for this. No, it's just me being me, you know. And I wanted other women to be able to see that you can literally just be yourself, just be hot, yeah, well, or just be attractive or whatever, without having to think too much about it. It doesn't have to be a thing where you think too much. I have to do this. I have to come on. It doesn't have to be this intense thing. So I always try to avoid getting into those topics because I don't know how to address it. I don't know how to say it without being offensive or not being woke enough, because I'm not a wokey. I'm not. Come on. I only say things that are based on my opinions on certain things. I know what's right and wrong, what I'm comfortable or not comfortable with. And so I know that advertising and showing things out there more makes people more receptive to certain things. Like when I was growing up, like I said, I didn't see a lot of plus size women being pretty in magazines. The only time I saw plus size girls, that's it. But now you see shops like H&M, you see shops like Mr. Price, you see your Cotton Ons and whatnot showing plus size women wearing the exact same clothes as everyone else. You see Pretty Little Things and Fashion Nova having plus size women wearing the exact same clothes as another girl, and you see them posting normal people wearing those clothes, and it's like, so I can also be attracted. And I wish that that sort of platform was there back then, where all those kind of clothing lines, all that sort of advertising was available back then. And unfortunately it wasn't. So now we sort of have to catch up with all the other younger girls that are growing up in this era where now it's like, oh no, but Fashion Nova is doing this, but no, Pretty Little Things is doing that. So now you already know, but this is how things are set up, whereas before, like now it feels like I'm playing catch up. And it's just tricky, man. The emphasis should be trying to balance out the playing field. Yeah. I feel like it should be based on evening out the playing field and people understanding the other side that they don't understand, and understanding the other side that is not as privileged as you are. Now, when you're light-skinned, people may deem you as better as or more attractive. People may want to be more receptive towards you and want to listen to you more and perceive you as the housemaid compared to a darker-skinned woman. So when you find yourself being approached by a dark-skinned woman saying to you, yo, I didn't like the comments that you made, or I feel like me growing up, I wasn't as accepted, you can't now say, but yeah, but no, listen to the other person, take it in, try and even out the playing field. Now, we all know that talk show host that is light-skinned that simply cannot get the picture. That when you're in a platform of being more privileged than another person, don't make something about you. Try and understand the other person and what they've gone through. Try and even out the playing field. That's it. Try and even out the playing field. Try and understand the other person. Try and see where they're coming from. Don't make it about you. Now, same way I feel about being plus size. There are people out there that don't understand certain things that we go through when you're plus size that you don't necessarily would experience when you are skinnier. Initially, when I was doing this video, I thought of doing this video. I was going to do it with my other friend who is smaller than me, just to get both angles, and I want to do a part 2 of it where we both speak up on each other's perception, but I wanted to speak on mine thoroughly so that I can make people understand where I'm coming from and how I grew up and what I've seen being advertised and how it's impacted me. Now, when I grew up being plus size, I always yearned to be as accepted as the skinnier girl. I didn't know that until I found myself in spaces of always trying. I didn't know that until I always found myself in spaces of always trying to be skinnier, trying to get to that goal of being the skinniest version of myself as possible. So when there's a tiny girl when plus size women are now being more accepted into modeling and advertising certain clothes and just accepting themselves, I don't understand why people can be all like, oh no, like, this isn't healthy, this isn't this. No one said anything about the date. No one said anything about health. No one said anything about impilo. What all we're speaking about is just accepting certain body types as forms of beauty. Accepting certain people's features as another form of beauty. You can have 100 freckles on your face. You can have blue, green, purple eyes. If you are beautiful just the way, no matter say, if you are beautiful just the way you are. And that sort of beauty should be represented certain topics where I feel like sometimes we just take it too seriously, too hard and all that stuff without actually understanding the other person and trying to even out the playing field. EBE were there and created to even out the playing field for white people to understand that black people aren't given the same opportunities as white people. So let's create a platform where we're trying to do a catch-up situation where you're already here, so let's try and push up the next person of color who's never been given the same opportunities to push them up just to even out the playing field. Yeah, but so I feel like the same things are happening. It should be allowed to happen where if people that have been put up here are allowed to at least try and get to that level. It's gonna take some time. It's difficult. There are still people in Lokshin. There's still people who don't do. There's people that come and talk to me when they see me face to face. They haven't seen me in a long time. They say, "I'll say, what's wrong with you?" Come on. Because they become comfortable with that without knowing, but it's not okay to speak to people like that. I don't ask you about why your wife left you. I don't ask you why, you're so short and broke. I don't ask you shit like that. So why should you ask me about being fat? But just things like that where people are comfortable enough to say certain things, but not comfortable with accepting certain things. I got from men, why are you always so revealing? Why are you always showing off yourself? Why are you always taking photos like this? Why? And I'm like, yeah, but like, no one questions anything you do. So why are you coming all the way from fucking Tata to question me? Yeah, well. But anyway, guys, enjoy this. This is a rant. And I think, wow, about this topic. It's a rant. I hope I don't offend anyone, but it's just based on some things I've perceived. I might be doing a part 2 of it where I'm more sober and I'm speaking to a friend because I want to bring my friend along because she is smaller than me, but she also has her own perceptions of things, of her own issues with body dysmorphia and whatnot. So I might do a video that's based on specifically body dysmorphia and dealing with low self-esteem, because right now I want to just focus on why I left modeling and my issues. Okay, I changed dresses because I'm on my way out the house, and yeah, this is the only clean dress that I have, and it's a very formal dress. So if my cousin sees me with this dress, she'll probably kill me because she gave me this dress and it's very formal. But anyway, so I hope you guys actually enjoy this video. I'm a bit worried though because it seems like a very apanapaya video, but I really hope you guys enjoy it. I really hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with certain topics. Like I said, I'm not a wokey or anything like that. I don't really try and analyze certain topics and how people perceive them. I sort of base things based on me and how I understand it. So I always try and cater things to my understanding of something. And if you can try and understand my understanding, and if you sort of think the way I think, then that's great. Tap into a topic that has nothing to do with me and my life experiences. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for all the likes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the continued support. And I'll see you guys next time.